Welcome back to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a talk video, and today we've got a new marquee character on the way, the single trooper aerial platform STAP. Kit reveal, we're going to do our normal stuff here, developer insights, look at the attributes, the tips, break down and analyze the kits, and then we'll touch on some synergies and squads. There's not going to be too much with a squad that is as small as this, but there are some things to talk about. STAP, I'm going to go with STAP, I like it better. He's going to be arriving as a droid separatist attacker. With the Omicron, he is going to be a General Greivous lifter in Grand Arena. He brings with him a new mechanic called Pinned. And a little bit more about Pinned with the strategy tips. With his basic ability, he's going to have a guaranteed target lock. When you hit those target locks, you will apply Pinned. And he's going to be a character that we are going to want to mod for speed. For our kit breakdown, the basic ability, checkpoint secure. Deal physical damage to the target enemy and inflict target lock. If they already have target lock, instead inflict Pinned, which can't be copied, dispelled, prevented, evaded, all that stuff. Pinned prevents bonus turn meter and reduces speed by 25%. That doesn't stack with other abilities that reduce speed. This ability is all about applying that new Pinned mechanic. So only target those who already have target lock, and if no one does, then I'm looking to prime that pin ability by applying target lock to the character who is most going to be hurt by eventually being pinned. Other things to keep in mind, separatist droids already have 2 AoE target lock abilities, so another instance of target lock here. It's going to be very conditional and not very valuable, so we should read this basic as a pinning target's ability and shutting down that bonus turn meter. That's what we want to get out of it, because that mechanic alone, it's going to shut down common Greivous counters like SWGOH or the classic Night Sisters that don't include Marin. And that's just to start, because as we go through this kit, we're going to see a couple more counters that are going to struggle up against STAP. The first special, Die Jedi Dogs, cooldown of 2, AoE physical damage, which Jedi can't evade. That part's nice for the Greivous theme, and it also reduces the efficacy of Foresight and Yoda, but this component of the ability I expect to have minimal impact. The next portion, AoE inflict provoked for 2 turns. Now as a reminder, provoke, that is a guaranteed counter chance, and the character deals 90% less damage when attacking out of turn, and whenever they attack out of turn, they receive damage equal to 20% of their max health. Now provoked, we've seen this before a couple times on Fifth Brother and Tarful. It forces that counter and that max health damage, so this should be a big threat, especially with the short cooldown. We can expect provoke to regularly be on the field, and then the ability just gets elevated even more because there's a pin mechanic here where we will deal damage again to pinned enemies. So the theme of this special is to make quick work out of the opponent. We are going to have a short cooldown, AoE attack, AoE provoked, and additional damage on those pinned enemies. So when you consider especially that B1, B2, General Grievous, and IG-100 will all provide AoE abilities that will trigger provoked, this ability makes me feel like Droidica, who was already the alternate character when you were looking at Newt or Watt. So I think Droidica is definitely still the odd one out because of the lack of an AoE ability to synergize with this special, and also to synergize just with the larger target lock mechanics going on. The second special, we need to recharge. This has a long cooldown of 4. Recover 20% health and protection and gain 5 stacks of overcharge. Max is at 5. The target ally attacks, then stop, assists. Overcharge we've seen before with the Malevolence. What overcharge does is it adds 20% offense and defense per stack. So with this ability, we get an additional recovery ability to combine with B1s, albeit with a longer cooldown, but more recovery is not nothing. But this is clearly about the overcharge mechanic, and really it's about the larger mechanics of overcharge that combine with the unique ability, which we'll break down right now. now. So far we've had some very straightforward abilities. This unique we're going to spend a little bit more time on. The unique is Single Trooper Aerial Platform. It is a Zeta and Omicron ability. STAP gains 10 speed for each stack of overcharge on them. This was alluded to in the strategy tips portion where we can build upon the strengths by giving STAP more speed and cycle through specials faster in effect. At the battle start, if all allies are Separatist droids, whenever an ally inflicts pinned or target lock, they also inflict damage equal to 10% of their max health, which can't be evaded. This will most specifically help STAP and General Grievous, a little bit to IG-100. B1, however, is not really going to contribute to this because B1 only has 1 health, I believe. So even though we can apply target lock with B1, it's not going to do anything. The next portion, whenever STAP uses an ability other than we need to recharge, they lose a stack of overcharge. So the basic or the first special, overcharge is going to be being lost until the 4-turn cooldown on we need to recharge arrives again, at which point you reapply it, and then you get that speed boost and these damage boosts. Whenever STAP or an allied Separatist droid tank takes true damage from an enemy, all Separatist droids lose 15% turn meter once per turn. This portion is actually a little weird because of what we'll see with the Grand Arena Omicron portion. I think why this exists is to nerf the character a little bit, so to disincentivize you to use him in territory wars or to make sure that he's not overpowered with other portions of the kit. Because once we get into the Grand Arena Omicron in a moment, what you'll see is they just turn that function off with the Omicron. With this Omicron, a Grand Arena Omi, STAP gains a bonus turn at the battle start and an additional bonus turn whenever an enemy takes their first turn. So with this, we effectively can use both specials to start the battle. It's just a question of in what order. And right now, without any testing, I think I'm going to go with the first special, Die Jedi Die, first to apply Provoked. Let the enemy take a turn, and then I will go with We Need to Recharge to get the stacks of overcharge and thus the speed boost for the maximum amount of time, which also sets up Die Jedi Die to be used in another turn to reapply Provoked, or we can use the basic to start pinning targets. And if you use We Need to Recharge first, it means you're going to use up one of those stacks of overcharge before the battle even gets moving, which means you lose a stack of that offense and defense, you lose 10 speed. So I think it makes more sense to use it second to boost your ability to just start cycling through those specials and doing as much damage as possible. With the next portion, when STAP gains overcharge, all allies gain 20% max health stacking for the rest of the battle and recover 10% health and protection. So with the first use of We Need to Recharge, that will start boosting General Grievous's damage since he does damage based off of max health. And as a reminder, if you're a newer player and haven't been around or paying attention to when everyone was talking about how to mod Greivous, now's the time to revisit those mods and make sure that they're correct. Health primaries on a health set. Now there are other theories on this with the triangle and the arrow, but to just keep things simple, health primaries, health sets. Do that at a minimum, then you can look at fine-tuning from there. And for the rest of us, I'm already considering taking General Grievous to R8 or R9. This squad, I think, is going to be much more dangerous. We're going to be using it, so let's help him out and build on a strength, make it much more of a threat. Then the last couple portions here. Enemy clone troopers have minus 30% offense, and when they are inflicted with pinned or target lock, they also receive additional damage equal to 10% of their max health, and that's unavailable. Separatist droid allies no longer lose turn meter when STAP or allied Separatist droid tanks take true damage from enemies. That's that portion I said a moment ago that gets canceled out from the kit. So both of these mechanics, what this is really saying is Bad Batch are no longer an easy General Grievous counter. And looking at the totality of STAP's impact on the Grievous squad, we have now lost SWGOH, the classic Night Sisters, and Bad Batch, and Shaak Ti as counters. Night Sisters with Marin is still going to work because Marin's mechanics don't work with bonus turn meter, whereas Daka does. and Wampa also looks safe, and Jedi Knight Revan should still work, but it's going to be a little bit more annoying. And I think what we should look is maybe we want to boost Jolie a little bit more to compensate. I've got a Relic 5 Jolie. I'm thinking we might need to take him up to Relic 7. This Omi, it's clearly good. I think it's a day 1 Omicron, and I'm going to be putting it on right away. Sometimes I'd like to do a little bit of testing without, but I'll just do that in another game mode, get a feel for it. Within Grand Arena, I think we'll be testing this straight away, and you can see if it interests you from my own play. Here we have our classic General Grievous squad. I want to make a couple points here, even though we touched upon a couple of my points while we were going throughout the kit. There are a few things that I want to highlight. Now, with the classic General Grievous squad, Droideka is traditionally the flex option, where you can take him out, put BB-8 for a Star Killer counter. You can throw in Watt, or you throw in Newt. They both help. Now, in Territory Wars, obviously you still use Droideka with the Omicron. Now, I do think STAP has value in Territory Wars. In that case, you would remove B2 because IG-100 has that stealth synergy with Greivous. We'll use a Geo here as a STAP stand-in. And the reason you would still do it, even though you're going to be receiving that true damage and that turn meter reduction mechanic by placing them in here, you are going to get that max health stacking. And that max health stacking is going to have a good amount of synergy with Greivous, do a lot more damage. It might boost the squad. That loss in speed, that might not be all that significant when you consider everything else that is going on. Now in Grand Arena though, I don't think that's going to be worth it. It's definitely going to be B2, and we'll have STAP instead of Droideka, because Droideka is not going to be adding enough to supersede what all the other characters are going to be doing. When you have dual tanks and how that is going to work without the Omicron, sure, you can take one of them out, and I think the additional stats that STAP is providing is going to help. In Grand Arena though, you want AoE abilities. It's all about how this is going to synergize with that second special, because what you're going to be having here is you're going to have STAP applying Provoked, then you are going to use the AoE abilities from General Grievous, B1, IG-100, B2, and from STAP himself to constantly be triggering that Provoked, which is going to give everybody countering and then receiving a bunch of damage. That's going to have a huge effect, and I don't think it makes sense to remove B2 or IG-100 from that and reduce all that AoE capacity, especially when you consider the synergy with General Grievous's lead, Zeta, where when you hit those target locks with all those AoE abilities, you're feeding a bunch of turn meter into General Grievous, so he's going to be taking a bunch of turns, as well as all those provokes being triggered, causing a bunch of extra damage. This should make some quick work. So I think Grand Arena, that's the squad. Territory Wars, you might have another option. We will wrap it up there. Hopefully CG has some other surprises for us. We've got some Grand Arena videos there, and we're just going to keep on trying to stay on top of things and get out some videos while I deal with some deadlines. Thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.